Okay, Amy, so here we are in the forest on the farm on this beauty of day. What are we doing here?
We're hunting for microbes.
Okay, awesome.
And we're doing that because we are now microbe farmers.
Sweet.
We're going to build a thermophilic compost pile today. And it's a little bit different to compost as people would normally think about it, right?
Absolutely.
So
Absolutely.
how do you think people normally think about compost?
I think it's just kind of piling various layers of materials, maybe adding a little bit of water, hoping for the best, giving a bit of a turn here or there.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
And usually people are thinking that the end product is going to be full of nutrients, kind of like an organic fertilizer for the garden. But we're flipping that on its head today.
Sweet.
Yeah, we're thinking about compost as a microbial inoculum.
Right.
So different way of looking at it, which means it's a different way of building a pile.
So what is an inoculum?
An inoculum is a whole bunch of diverse organisms that we need to use in our soil to restore soil health. And so we're going to make this pile in a way that we can be certain that all of the organisms that we need for restoring soil health are in the pile. And then when we take that compost or do fun things with the compost and pop it in the soil, those organisms will then repopulate the soil. So once those organisms are back in the soil, partnering with plants, that's where the nutrients come in. So we're thinking of our pile not as nutrients to deliver to the plants, but as microbes to deliver to the plants, to help those plants partner with those microbes and get nutrients the natural way.
Perfect. And what microbes are we talking about here, and what do they need to survive and thrive?
Okay. So we're looking for some broad groups of beneficial organisms. There is no such thing as a beneficial or a detrimental organism.
Not in nature.
It's
No.
just not how it works.
No.
But from the perspective of a plant, some organisms are highly beneficial. And what we want to make sure in our compost is that we are bringing in all of those groups of organisms that we know are highly beneficial to plants.
Right.
So we're looking for aerobic bacteria, lots of different types of aerobic bacteria. We're looking for fungi, and we're looking for protozoa and nematodes. And so we are very carefully constructing our compost recipe to make sure that we are bringing in those organisms into our pile.
Awesome. And what do they need?
So they're much like us, Andrea. So our primary need
Air?
is air. Right? The air away and we do not last very long.
Nope.
And it's the same for microbes, right?
Right.
So you'll notice that we'll be building our pile on a pallet, and that just allows us a little bit more control when it comes to turning our pile, which keeps lots of air coming in. It also allows us to control the temperatures and when we're doing the turns, which helps us encourage the fungi in our pile. So they definitely need air. And
I'm probably thinking maybe water's next.
what is next?
Yeah.
What is next? So to go about their daily business, microbes like around 50% moisture. You know, look at a nematode under the microscope, they kind of swim. You know, so we need a minimum amount of moisture for those microbes to move around and for them to be able to reproduce, which is what creates the heat in our pile, by the way.
Right.
So we have to have the right amount of moisture. If we don't get the right amount of heat or the right amount of reproduction of microbes that we're looking for.
And besides air and water, we all need food.
We all need food.
Yeah.
And so some of the food that will be the materials that we use in our recipe to begin with, and some of the microbes will be coming in on that food. So we make sure that there's just the right amount of foods for the balance that we're looking for in the end in our pile. And we'll also be bringing some microbes in to inoculate our pile, which will become our big inoculum.
Right. Okay.
So we did air,
Water, food, and last time some habitat. We need some shelter.
Yes, we do
Yeah.
need shelter. So we need to protect those microbes from the sun
Right.
and the wind and the rain, because again we're looking for these aerobic conditions to keep them alive.
Right.
And so building on a pallet and monitoring our materials very carefully and our moisture very carefully gives us a chance to keep everything aerobic.
Amazing. And on top of the inoculum that we're going to be gathering from the forest, we did go around to many of our systems
Yep.
on the farm.
We did.
10, 12, 13, something like that.
There are
And
so many microbes coming into this pile. I'm actually a bit excited.
absolutely,
Yeah.
me too. It's going to be a microbe party. So yeah, we got samples from a lot of these different systems, and then that's going to contribute even greater to the diversity,
Yeah,
right?
absolutely. And then we'll be using our microscope all the way through and keeping an eye on those organisms just to make sure that we do have the diversity that we're looking for and the balance that we're looking for. So I'm excited.
Me too. Should we go hunt for those microbes?
do it.
All right.